I think it's time to talk about the Pixel 3a. I've had this for a few days now. Actually, it's Saturday and I've had it since Monday, so I think I can give a good first impressions on this phone. So the main problem is that for whatever reason, Android enthusiasts seem to hate this phone to the guts. I don't get why. Because there are better options out there. There are better, you could just buy a used S9. The thing is this phone is not for people like me. It's not for people who know what Swappa is. Are they willing to risk going on eBay and buying something like, S9? No, not really. This is for people like my girlfriend, for people like my mom, for people like that who don't really know much about phones, but they want something solid and cheap. That's what this is for. Because I see a lot of advice being kicked around. Go buy an S8, go buy an S9, go buy an older flagship phone. But while those are good ideas, here's the thing. This thing is going to get updates for 3 years from now. So this thing will be good till 2022 at the very least. And Google has kept the OG Pixel up to date even to this day. I believe the OG Pixel is going to get Q. So the 3 years that they promised, well, I guess they retroactively gave it to the Pixel, but the original Pixel was only promised 2 years and it got 3. Pretty nice. So they may even go for 4. I don't know. But this phone, so far, is pretty good if you're in the US and you need something cheap that's new. Now, if you're on T-Mobile, which is where I got this phone, there are better options if you're financing. In this case, I financed this phone, but it's like I kind of gave the air quotes because I traded in an S8 for it, and there's a reason why I did that, because I really was not a fan of the S8 and where Samsung was taking the Pi update. So I wanted to give an actual Pixel a try, and that's where I ended up. So if you're financing this on T-Mobile, there are better options. Like I said, you can go for the OnePlus 6T, which got a price drop. And yeah, it might be a little more expensive, but when you think about it, the 6T is only a couple bucks more per month for a phone that could potentially go on way longer than this one could. Because OnePlus has traditionally had very good ROM support, but then again, I'm kind of delving into your average user does not care about this crap. But if you're kind of in between, like you're a more than average user, but not quite a true phone enthusiast, yeah, the OnePlus is going to be a little bit better. But pretty much, this phone is going to continue to get updates. It's going to get them fast, hopefully if T-Mobile doesn't mess it up. I don't think they will. And it's going to be supported for 3 years. And it's a good phone. One of the main things I hear people complaining about is the eMMC storage. Which, again, if I ask my mom what eMMC storage is, she's probably going to look at me like I'm dumb and like I'm out of my damn mind. Nobody cares about eMMC storage. Nobody. If it doesn't affect the way the phone actually goes and runs and operates, they're not going to care. People have said, oh, they will care in a year when performance degrades so badly that they're going to blame Android. But I don't think that's the case, because I feel like the people who are complaining about the storage on here, but they're thinking back to the original Nexus 7, which had a really bad batch of eMMC storage that degraded really fast and got to the point of uselessness within a year. I get the feeling people are thinking of that, and they're thinking that every phone with eMMC storage is going to be completely garbage, blah, blah, blah. And then they even quote, oh, the iPhone 6 has degraded eMMC storage. Like, no, it doesn't. The iPhone 6, its problem was that it's barely faster than a 5S, and iOS 11 kind of ruined the perception of it being a decent phone. Plus Bendgate, of course. But it has nothing to do with performance. And then you have the throttling scandal with the batteries. that didn't help either. So I feel like saying the iPhone 6 is an example of this is not a good comparison. Basically, what I'm trying to say is r/Android is completely and totally wrong about this phone, at least a week in. The storage has not been a problem. I've installed, while this thing was actually pulling my backup from this phone, it actually was pretty usable. It was fast. I've never had that on any other phone, including my S8, with the fabled UFS storage. I've never had that issue at all. Like, if I used my S8 and if I were installing multiple apps on it, it would just lock up. Like, it wouldn't, okay, it wouldn't, exaggeration, it wouldn't lock up. It would just be unusably slow until the apps finished installing. This, everything installs perfectly fine. Phone is still usable, not to a level of as like my, XR, but it's very much more usable than the S8 was. So I think people, the Android enthusiasts who crap on this phone saying it's garbage, they, one, forget who this phone is for. Two, they forget the Moto Z Play, which was a phone in a similar price bracket with similar specs back in 2016. And by similar specs, I mean relative to the flagship at the time, that was very well praised for punching above its weight class. This is that. This will be a phone that, yes, it's got a slower SoC and it lacks the pixel visual core, but it still gets the job done. Speaking of the visual core, the camera, they were not kidding, is fully intact on this phone from the Pixel 3 and 3 XL. I've taken some shots with it. I'm blown away by the quality. It puts this poor thing to shame. I've always said that Android phones, they have excellent cameras in ideal conditions. This thing can take even the worst conditions and make them look salvageable. It's crazy. But those are my first impressions on this phone. Let me know what you think down in the comments if you want. But personally, I think that the Android enthusiasts crapping on this phone really do sell it short. I mean, this is basically the return of the Nexus under another name. Cheap and decent phones that, appeal to most anybody looking for a cheap and decent phone. I mean, obviously, if you live outside the US, you've got better options, and if you're financing on T-Mobile, you probably have also better options. But for the vast majority of people who are looking for a cheap smartphone, this is it, chief.